Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Monday. Welcome back for the weekend. Hope it was a good one. Hope you're enjoying your Monday so far as best as one can enjoy a Monday. We're hanging out for the next 3 hours here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our streaming video channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. However, wherever, whenever you're tuned in to the program today, thanks so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuy will be along in a bit. Brendan Orzinski is off today. We are with you for the next 3 hours until 6 o'clock this evening, recapping the weekend that was, and there is plenty to get to in our world of sports. So sure glad that you're here, making us a part of your Monday. We're going to get to the news that I don't really think was worth the push notification that the ESPN app sent me. Maybe you got the same one if you've got notifications on from ESPN. I turned those on in an effort to stay off of social media and, I could get breaking sports news or see highlights. ESPN had sent me what I really need to know. But I don't think they needed to send me a notification that the Chiefs were going to cut Juwaan Taylor, because I've known the Chiefs were going to cut Juwaan Taylor since last year's NFL draft, since they signed Jalen Moore. It was maybe the worst kept secret in the NFL for the better part of an entire calendar year. And, well, now it's being widely reported and cited and confirmed that the Kansas City Chiefs are indeed going to cut their 3-year starting right tackle, Juwaan Taylor, to save them money, $20 million worth of it, towards the salary cap. Just this move will make them cap compliant. Of course, they've made other moves to cut Mike Dana, restructured Patrick Mahomes, but this move will make the Kansas City Chiefs cap compliant for the new league year coming up next week. And I know you were probably all as stunned as I was to see that news today. But we'll talk about it, the implications of it, why the Chiefs had to do it beyond the money aspect of it. And take a look at some other Chiefs notes from the weekend, from the Combine. Jesse Newell had an interesting thought today, had a lot of interesting stuff. Sometimes his stuff is so good you just want to read it all on the radio, but that's not fair to Jesse. His stuff is on The Athletic, which you got to pay for. And I'm not going to give away the whole store. You should subscribe to people who do good work. We tell people, subscribe to The Athletic, where people do good work. Subscribe 24/7 Sports, where our friends Michael Swain and Tim Fitzgerald do good work. Give those people your money. It's worth it. Anyway, there was one point in particular from Jesse Newell's column that published today at The Athletic, not column, but notes article from the Combine that really stuck out, and do want to get to that here in a little bit. Plenty of football on today's show. It is a Monday after all. Our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, is our guest today. He'll join us at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. Matt Verderame of Sports Illustrated, SI.com. He was at the Combine in Indianapolis. He was an up-close and personal observer of the Underwear Olympics. We'll get his thoughts and everything he saw and heard on the week in Indianapolis. So lots of football on the show today. We'll get to some baseball. 25 days until opening day. It's March. There are real baseball games that count this month. 25 days away from a Royals game that counts. Their opener, March 27th. We'll continue our countdown to opening day. And the Royals made a move this weekend. Maybe you missed it. Maybe you were doing some other things, otherwise occupied this weekend. But it's a move that they've had a hankering to make going back to last spring. And they finally brought in a player they've been trying to bring in for quite a bit of time. The fact that that player was just chilling on the open market on March 1st suggests that maybe he's not as valuable as he might have been at this time last year. But the Marte parte comes to KC. Starling Marte agreeing to terms with the Kansas City Royals. He will be a 26-man roster addition when that signing is made official. We'll talk about why the Royals wanted to do it and what he can realistically bring to this ball club. The former All-Star as recently as 2022. He's not that player anymore, but what kind of player is he and how much can he help the Royals. Get some college hoops from the weekend. KU got bullied and blown out, and then they rallied, and then they got bullied and blown out some more. And the result was a 23-point loss to a team I still think is the best in the country when everything's clicking, the Arizona Wildcats. At the McHale Center was always going to be a hard game for KU to win. And then Bryson Tiller got into foul trouble, and it felt impossible at that point. KU deserves a ton of credit for rallying, but the rally stopped at just cutting it to a 2-point deficit, and then it felt like Kansas didn't score the rest of the game. They did, but that's an oversimplification. Not a lot to like from that performance, but one thing that did jump out, because, well, we're all watching him. We're all watching his every move. All eyes are always on Kansas's number 22. Darryn Peterson didn't make his shots, but other than that, that was one of his more encouraging performances, I thought, of the 2025-26 season. What wasn't encouraging was what the rest of his teammates were doing the entire time. So we'll get into that a little bit, revisit that Saturday loss for the Jayhawks that ends their conference championship hopes. They trail Arizona by 3 with 2 to go. Still a chance for the double bye and a top 4 seed in the Big 12 tournament. You have a rooting interest on Big Monday if you would like to see that happen for the Jayhawks. We'll do some high school sports as well. High school basketball, the sub-state brackets are in. We'll let you know when the area teams are going to be tipping it off in sub-state play. Obviously, sub-states have already been going on in 3A, 2A, and the 1A classes. They're all set in the 4A, 5A, 6A classes. We'll also tell you which game we're going to have on Wednesday, our first postseason game here on 580 WIBW. Plus, we got our typical shenanigans for a Monday. We got What Is Wrong With You, start a brand new month of What Is Wrong With You. Got our 580 Sports Talk headlines, including a look at college baseball from the weekend and our winner's circle. We've also got the good, bad, ugly from the weekend that was. Plus, your interaction with the show today. I want to hear from you. Text line is open, 785-272-9429. Text line never closes, but it's especially open during the show. These are the 3 hours during the day of the 24 where you got a chance to get your text read on the radio. If you send it, it's a good one, 785-272-9429. You can also jump in on the live chat on our YouTube channel. If you are watching us on YouTube today, 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. You should go on and subscribe to the channel if you have yet to do so. Get us to a round number today. We're sitting on 929. Somebody get us to 930 today. Go subscribe to the channel, 580 Sports Talk. And while you're watching the program live on YouTube, avail yourself of the live chat window in the browser or on your device of choice and say hello. Interact amongst yourselves, interact with your host, and advance the dialogue. Grow the community on 580 Sports Talk. See McFly in first today. Hi, McFly. How are you? Mark H. and Vance also in the chat. The flattery is appreciated. Thank you for the kind words on the high school basketball broadcast on Friday night. Those folks in the YouTube chat appreciate that very much. Flattery will get you nowhere except with me. It will get you a lot of places. So thank you for that. That's very kind of you to say those nice things. Look forward to hearing from more of you in the live chat as we go along on 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. The least well-kept secret for the last year in the NFL, finally, not quite official, but widely enough reported that we all now know that what we've known is coming for a long time is actually going to happen. Nate Taylor with the story at ESPN.com that the Kansas City Chiefs have informed their starting right tackle of the last 3 seasons, Juwaan Taylor, that barring a trade, he will be released prior to the start of the new league year, March 11th. Why prior to? Cap savings. The Chiefs, as it currently stands, are still over the salary cap. But they saved $20 million cutting Juwaan Taylor. That gets them under the cap. And isn't it a funny thing? We know exactly how much money is saved. Exactly how much. To the cent. It's usually a nice round number, like in this case, $20 million. $20 million, the cap hit for next year, you save by releasing the player. But we don't know exactly how much salary cap room that creates. I have seen estimates between about $10.5 million and $14 million that the Chiefs will be under the salary cap when the new league year begins because of the moves that they have already made. The three moves that have affected their salary cap, the two that they've already made, which was the restructuring of Patrick Mahomes' contract and the release of Mike Dana. And now this move that we know will be made before the start of the new league year, the release of Juwaan Taylor. There is a note in the story that the Chiefs may look to trade Juwaan Taylor before the start of the new league year. And let's be really honest, it's not a great crop of free agent tackles. It's not a great crop of free agents, period. You've probably noticed that, kind of an ongoing trend on our Free Agent Friday segment that we do. Like, if you're looking for an impact star player to change your fortunes in free agency this year, that guy is not really available. George Pickens isn't going to hit the market. He was probably the best offensive player available. Trey Hendrickson is the best defensive player available, and he's more really, really good than like great defense altering, franchise altering. It's not a great free agent class. And maybe that tempts a team into saying, look, we don't want to fight over the market for Juwaan Taylor. We'd like to go get this player. He's a starting caliber player. You can win a Super Bowl with him starting at right tackle. Let's go get our guy, maybe throw in a 5th round pick, a day 3 pick to do it, and beat everybody to the market. And then this other team, the acquiring team, could restructure Taylor's contract and ease some of that cap hit for 2026. After all, that is what is happening with another trade of an offensive lineman today. We'll get more to it in headlines, but the Browns are acquiring Titus Howard from Houston, who's been their starting right tackle consistently the last couple of years. And I think opinions vary on how good a player Howard is, which opinions vary on how good a player Juwaan Taylor is. But the Browns, like, they don't have any offensive linemen under contract. That's how screwed up they are. They got no starting offensive linemen under contract. All 5 of their starters from last year are free agents. So they are trading a 5th round pick for Titus Howard, and then they're going to turn around and extend his contract for 3 years and $63 million, 20-ish million a year, $21 million a year there. What was Juwaan Taylor making? $20 million a year. It's a going rate for a starting caliber right tackle in his late 20s. I don't think it's out of the question that the Chiefs are able to spin Juwaan Taylor into a day 3 pick. I don't. There might be a team out there saying, hey, look, we are in such dire straits at tackle and the free agent market stinks. We need to make sure we've got a real solution. And that's worth a day 3 pick to us. And I think that would be worth a day 3 pick to the Chiefs. Because the thing about Juwaan Taylor, other than the penalties, he's not a bad player. He's good against the pass, or against pass rush. He's good blocking the run. But there's the first part of that sentence, right? Other than the penalties, they are no small matter, as we are all keenly aware. In 45 career games with the Chiefs, Juwaan Taylor was called for 49 penalties. You may be aware that 49 is more than 45. Only 41 of those were accepted. So maybe that does him a little bit of a favor. But still, that is being spotted for an infraction more than once per game over 3 seasons. You can be prime Jackie Slater, Lane Johnson, give me whatever other all-time great right tackle you want, Forrest Gregg, Dan Deerdorf, like any other. You can be the best right tackle in football every other snap. But if you're getting called for more than 1 penalty a game, there's only but so helpful you can be. And for a Chiefs team that in particular this most recent season seemed to struggle with the concept of accountability, Juwaan Taylor couldn't be on the team next year. And it's not just the cap savings. Like that's a big deal. That's something the Chiefs kind of had to do and knew they were going to have to do. And that's why they had a succession plan in place when they signed Jalen Moore to a 2-year deal last year. Juwaan Taylor couldn't be on the team. If you were going to go into next season New attitude, new belief, new way of thinking, new approach. We're going to be better on offense. We're leaving the last season or last 2 seasons behind. One of the things that had to change was the penalties, was the sloppiness. You had to be cleaner on offense. So often, the Chiefs were sloppy and unclean and penalty prone, and Juwaan Taylor was at the center of that, and that's why he had to go. That's why he couldn't be on the team anymore. No matter how good his technique might have been otherwise, no matter how good a pass blocker he might have been one-on-one, the penalties weren't acceptable. He had to go. He had to. So the Chiefs saved $20 million on the cap. And again, the number that they're under the salary cap, and I've seen it multiple numbers in multiple sources, it's between $10 and $14 million. Let's just say that. Now, the initial report from ESPN also suggested that the Chiefs could do more to free up more salary cap space. The possibility of cutting Drew Tranquill, which would save $6 million to the cap. The possibility of cutting Noah Gray, which would save $4 million to the cap. Add that up, that's $10 million in savings. Taylor also suggests the possibility that the Chiefs may look to restructure Creed Humphrey's contract. That's not one we've heard. We heard Chris Jones. That feels inevitable, that they'll do something to restructure Chris Jones's contract and lighten the cap load that Chris Jones is responsible for the 2026 season, which right now, the cap number for Chris Jones is $44.85 million. That is, by some distance, the most substantial cap hit on the 2026 roster. They trimmed about $40 million off of the cap hit for Mahomes. He was at 70-some million. They got that down to 34. For Jones, I think they could probably get it. Well, I guess I shouldn't say I know where they can get it to, but let's say they get it to 20 million, 25 million, 30 million. Let's say they get it to 30. Let's go high end. Say they get it down to 30 on the cap hit for Chris Jones. It's another $14 to $15 million you saved to the salary cap. Creed Humphrey's cap number is $18.1 million. Could you have that? Could you get it down to 15? Could you get it down to 12.5? Another 5 to 10 million off the salary cap. And all of a sudden, the Chiefs are working with ample space. Not just a little bit of room, ample space to not just sign their rookies, but make some critical additions or retain some critical players for 2026. That seems to me like a pretty obvious strategy for the Chiefs moving forward. What I do not believe is part of the Chiefs' strategy is looking at right tackle with the number 9 pick in the draft. I've seen this float around a little bit. I've seen people suggest this on social media that, well, okay, now Chiefs moved off their right tackle. There's a couple of big deal tackle prospects who both played right tackle in college that should be available at number 9. Miami's Francis Moinoa, Utah's Spencer Fano, although Fano did have the dreaded short arms at the combine, only like 32 and a half inches long. And it's not Reuben Baines T-Rex arms, but it's also not really what you're looking for from a tackle. So there's a chance both of those guys are available at number 9. Like, look, you know who won't be at this point. You know Fernando Mendoza's not going to be there at 9. But you name a player in the draft, and there is a realistic possibility they fall to 9. Realistic possibility. The only 2 guys I would feel like, yeah, that guy is not going to be there at 9. Somebody's going to take him before 9. Arvell Reese and I just had his name, David Bailey from Texas Tech. I think those 2 are for sure going in the top 8. Anybody else you could argue for, you could argue against. Chiefs are going to have something good fall to them at number 9. And that could include tackle, but I don't think they gave Jalen Moore 2 years to cut him after 1. I think they gave him 2 years to find out if he's a long-term solution. And if Moore plays well at right tackle this year, on a contract extension, I don't think is off the board. I think it is likelier if the best option on the board for the Chiefs at number 9 is Francis Moinoa, or if there's a team out there dying for a right tackle in the draft, I think it's more likely the Chiefs trade back and somebody jumps to get a tackle number 9 than it is that the Chiefs would take a tackle themselves. I don't see it. I know how much draft capital and salary cap space they have invested in the offensive line, but they're invested in Jalen Moore too. It's not that, they're all the way invested left tackle, left guard, center, right guard. They're pot committed, all these guys. You got a first-round pick. You got a second-round pick. You got your long-term extensions at center and right guard. And right tackle's the only thing you don't have anything invested in, so maybe that's an option at 9. No, I don't see it. I don't see it at all. I do not see it. There's a lot of different ways the Chiefs could go at number 9. Don't think tackle's one of them, even with the release of Juwaan Taylor. We'll take a quick time out here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt Verderame's going to join us in about 10 minutes or so. We're also going to talk a little bit more Chiefs out of this timeout. Jesse Newell had an interesting thought in his article today at The Athletic that I want to expound upon. I'd like to see the Chiefs bring Brian Cook back. Could somebody else ruin that for him? I'll explain what I mean when we return. We got college hoops. We got some Royals. We got a jam-packed show today. We're glad you're here to start your week on the Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. .330 on this Monday on 580 Sports Talk. Glad you're back from the weekend hanging out with us, talking about the Chiefs releasing Juwaan Taylor and more steps the Chiefs can make to cut down their cap responsibilities to have more salary cap room. I see, trying to find the comment in the YouTube chat. Tyler's in today. Welcome, Tyler. Argues that Chris Jones won't get restructured. Chiefs can't be married long-term to him. He's getting old. Creed Humphrey makes more sense given his age. Now, restructure doesn't necessarily mean adding years to the end of the contract. What a restructuring would be in Jones's case, which just like Mahomes' case, it's just converting dollars to money that doesn't count against the cap, converting cap money to a signing bonus, effectively. So it's more cash up front. It's less that counts against the salary cap. So a restructuring does not mean necessarily that you add an extra year or a void year, sometimes they're called, to the contract. So the Chiefs can restructure Chris Jones without committing to him for any years beyond what they've already committed to. Jones's contract is through 2028, which means he hits unrestricted free agency as a 35-year-old. And they've got an out after they have an out after this year where there'd only be $19.5 million dead cap if they cut him after this season. Instead of the $64.25 million in dead cap there would have been if they cut him this year. So they've got an out in the contract. What they could end up doing is moving some money into the 2027 portion, raising the cap hit for next year and easing some of that cap burden for this year, but not necessarily locking themselves into more years beyond what they already agreed to, the 5-year deal he signed back in 2024. So I know sometimes salary cap talk is as clear as mud, and trust me, it works that way for me too. There are times I'm looking at Spotrac and reading some of this stuff, and my eyes will just roll back into their heads. Like, I didn't get into sports radio to be an economist, right? Like, to talk about numbers like this. It's one of the reasons I don't want a salary cap in baseball. I don't like talking about salary caps. I don't. You ever try to talk about the NBA one and make that one make sense to like an average layperson without an econ degree? It's insane. I don't want to talk about that. Just, hey, Team X has money and they gave it to Kyle Tucker. The Dodgers have a lot of money and they spend a lot of it on players, and the Marlins have a lot of money, but they don't want to spend it on players, so they don't spend it on players. Like, that's just a lot easier to me than talking about void years and restructuring of contracts. Like, I don't know why y'all want that in more sports. I don't know why you want more of that. That's why I don't want a salary cap in baseball. That and many other reasons. Jesse Newell has a good article up today. I think every beat writer for a team from The Athletic put out a notes column following the combine, what we're hearing, that kind of thing. And this is from Jesse Newell's article talking about the priority free agents for the Chiefs, the guys who are going to hit free agency, but that are good enough players the Chiefs wouldn't mind bringing back. Jalen Watson, Brian Cook, Leo Chenal. Newell writes, quote, the Chiefs are likely to do less targeting of their own free agents this year and more monitoring to see whether a reunion might make sense at the right price. That's a change from previous years, but also probably prudent given the team's situation. Again, that's a reference to the salary cap. And that fits what we've heard from the likes of Matt Derrick, Matt Verderame. The Chiefs aren't going to do like the Cowboys did with Javonte Williams. Like, they signed him to an extension, signed him to a contract, made sure that he didn't get to free agency, just signed him to make sure that he stayed off the market. The Chiefs probably aren't going to do that with Watson or Cook or Chenal. Now, they free up the money. They could, but it doesn't seem that they are likely to. The thought from Newell is that they'll monitor the market. They'll see what those players are offered. And maybe they have an understanding from those players like, hey, we'd love to come back to Kansas City if you'll match what the market is willing to bear for us. Where I think that's questionable for Brian Cook is, again, we're not talking about a lot of high-end talent available in terms of free agent defenders. But safety's an interesting position because there are so many good ones in the upcoming draft. Like, obviously, Caleb Downs is cream of the crop, but there are a lot of really good safeties. The safety crop looks really promising. And so teams may not be as willing to spend on a free agent safety, bring them in outside of their program. Instead, they could just draft one and groom one and get them for cheaper rather than pay $13-14 million a year. That's about what the going rate was for a safety last year. Like Talanoa Hufanga, even coming off of injury, got $13 million from the Broncos. I'm sure that's the hope for Brian Cook and his people, that's what they'll get in free agency. But what if the market doesn't bear that? What if the offers that he's looking at are closer to the $10 million range? Well, then he becomes a lot more readily available to the Chiefs. And the Chiefs don't have to overreact and say, well, we got to make sure we match what the market board last year, and we got to give Brian Cook $14 million a year, $15 million a year, because he's important to. I think the Chiefs really, really do want to keep Brian Cook, but I think they're going to let the market play out. And I don't think that there's going to be a team out there that does go 14, 15, $16 million a year on Cook. If it is to be believed that this safety class is really special in the draft, maybe that number's a little bit lower. Maybe there's not so much demand for safeties on the market. And there are a lot of guys who are about as good as Cook who are going to hit the market at that position too, which further complicates things. So the Chiefs, I think, are making the right decision with Cook regarding let the market decide and then meet the market. Give Brian Cook his ask. As that ask comes down a little bit, bring him back. Keep him a part of that secondary. We'll get Matt Verderam's thoughts, our NFL insider. He's going to join us in 2 minutes here. Coming up next on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, who covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Also appears on That Football Show on the KC Sports Network and has his own subscriber-only Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show. Matt, you just back from the scouting combine. What was the highlight of the week in Indianapolis for you?
Well, that I could share publicly because some of these things are conversations at 3 a.m. over God knows how many drinks. But no, in all seriousness, I think it was just being at the convention center and, you get the GMs and the coaches mostly on Tuesday and then the players follow in, the Wednesday, Thursday, so on. And I thought, there was some decent stuff from the GMs. The coaches didn't say as much. GMs I thought were pretty interesting. Just in terms of kind of directionally the way they want to go. For an example, it sounds like Tyler Linderbaum, I think, is going to be the most sought-after free agent that there is outside of maybe the quarterbacks. He's got a robust market. Then there are guys like, Brett Veach, who was really honest about the fact, look, running back, D-line, like, we need to fix that. We know that. And then from the players, I thought overall, just watching, the whole process play out, a guy like Sonny Styles go from being a borderline top 10 pick to feels like certainly a top 10 pick. So that, just finding out kind of between actions and words and conversations, some of the movement that you might expect to see here in the next couple of weeks.
You mentioned Styles by name, so I'll start there because he certainly seems to be the player that did the most to help himself, at least among the first round projected picks with his combine performance, which was off the charts, out of this world, whatever adjective you'd like to use. What is he in the pros? Like, what's the projection if it all comes together with his athleticism? What is the GM that selects him, whether that's the Jets at 2, which I'm now starting to see with some mock drafts, or somebody else in the top 10? If you're drafting Sonny Styles, what do you think you're getting? What kind of player?
I mean, you're hoping you're getting Fred Warner. That's what you're hoping. Now, let's be clear. Fred Warner's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. But that's what you're hoping. You're hoping you're getting that type of guy. Maybe a guy like, Shaq Leonard Rush for the Colts. Before injury kind of robbed him in the back half of his career. Somebody of that caliber. The defense, quarterback for the defense, guy who play all 3 downs, who's got speed sideline to sideline, who's got athleticism in the pass game. Somebody who you can basically put in the middle of that unit and say, we are better all the way around. Pass defense, run defense, calling out the cover. Because that guy is on the team. So, in this day and age, it is very rare to see a front 7 player taken very early who's not a pass rusher. Styles is not he is not an edge rusher. He's not David Bailey. He's not Ruben Bain. He's not Marvell Reese. But he is an athletic marvel at linebacker. And he's somebody who I think a lot of people feel like you can just put that guy in the middle of your defense for the next 8 to 10 years, and you're good. You're all set.
Man, Verderame is our guest, our NFL insider from Sports Illustrated and SI.com, joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline here on 580 Sports Talk, as he does every Monday at this time. Which of the following measurements are the bigger concern for this potential top 10 pick? Ruben Bain's arms, Spencer Fano's arms, or Carnell Tate's 40 time?
So that's a great question. I think if you're going to think GMs, you'd probably get all of those guys thrown in there as the answer to some extent. I will say this about Bain. And I know the second after the measurement, there was a tweet immediately from the insider who was like, well, some teams measured 32. That's great. If you measured at 30 and 7/8. That's not too short armed. He would be a historic outlier if he's a really good player with that arm length. And I know there are people out there, and I get it, I totally get it, who would sit there and say 30 and 7/8 or 32, who cares? It's an inch. In the NFL, an inch is a lot. It matters. I wrote a whole piece on this at the owners' meetings last year where I talked about offensive tackles and how teams really want you to have 34-inch arms. They'll a lot of times accept 33. Anything less than that, a lot of teams will take the flat out off the board. So 30 and 7/8 for a DN is tiny. That being said, I think while he's probably my answer, Tate running in the 4.5s matters because you're going to have teams who look at the rest of his top 10 and go, okay, Jeremiah Love, pretty sure leaving Indianapolis, he's mostly viewed as the best player in this draft. Caleb Downs, he is seen as the best safety to come out of college since Kyle Hamilton. I think a lot of people think he's going to be as effective as a guy like him or Derwin James. You look at Malagoa, I think most people feel like he's the best tackle in this class. Mendoza, he's going to go 1. You can just put that in the bank. But then, listen, are you going to take Tate or are you going to take Bain? Okay, well, there's red flags each way. You're going to take a guy like Bailey. You're going to I think that those guys are going to be impacted in a decent amount of draft room based on what we were just talking about.
Is it now less likely that Jeremiah Love is available to the Chiefs at number 9 based on his combine performance?
I would be very, very surprised if he's there at 9. If they want to get Jeremiah Love, they're going to have to either get really lucky or probably move up. Like, I just don't think he's going to get there. I don't know. Like, there's been talk recently now, well, maybe the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals, as much as I think of Jeremiah Love, I think the Cardinals would be insane. Like, they need so much else. But, the Giants, look, the Giants has not made it a secret in league circles. They want to get better running back, which is ironic because they have Tyrone Tracy, they have Cam Scatterbo, but I think they really want, Harbaugh's coming over from Baltimore. You're going to run the ball. You're going to play that style of offense. They want to do that. If they don't get Kenneth Walker or Travis Etienne, would they take him? If they don't, would Washington take him and pair him with, Krosky Merritt, at 7? Would the Saints take him at 8? I mean, the Chiefs would have to probably get up the board, which is, to lead to another part of this, even more the reason. I think if you're Brett Veach, like, we could talk all we want about receivers and DNs, and listen, the Chiefs need it. They need all these things. They have got to come out of free agency with an answer running back. Like, they just cannot sit there and walk away with, I don't know, Kenneth Gainwell or Rico Dowdle and go, well, we're good. We're good now. We're all set. Like, you can't. That is how last season happens. Like, if they've got to overpay Walker or Etienne, fine. It's running back. What are you going to pay? 12 instead of 10? Just give it to them. Like, I think if you're the Chiefs, you almost have to look at that as like insurance, because Love being there at 9 feels increasingly unlikely by the day.
Juwaan Taylor will be cut by the Chiefs. The league's worst-kept secret is now very much out there publicly, widely reported today. That leaves Jalen Moore, the presumptive starter at right tackle for 2026 on the second year of that contract he signed last year. I am of the mind that the Chiefs intended always to have a full year's look at Moore as a starter one way or another, and that even if Moanoa from Miami was there at number 9, I don't think the Chiefs would go in the tackle direction that early. Could you see them maybe, is that a spot that if Moanoa falls to 9 and somebody calls the Chiefs and willing to give up an extra pick to maybe move up a spot or two to get him, that you could see the Chiefs maybe more likely to trade down than to actually take a tackle at 9?
Look, I will throw my hands up and say I was wrong last year when I said I really do not think they're going to take a tackle in the first round, because I've talked to people in the building who flat out said this tackle class is terrible. We don't like any of them outside of the real top guys. And then all of a sudden, Simmons gets to 32, and it was like, well, guess what? One of those guys fell, and they thought he was going to go 20 spots higher than them. So I'm not going to sit here and say that there's just no way they could take a tackle. I got to be honest. I would be floored if they take a tackle. Floored. Absolutely just knocked out of my chair. They, from public conversations they've had, Brett Veach in Indianapolis, the private conversations I've had, I know other people who cover that team who have had similar conversations. They know desperately they need to fix their defensive line around Karlaftis and Jones. That they have got to fix this running back room. That they really need long-term answers at receiver, especially with this lawsuit now going on with Rashee Rice. Like, they may never pick this high again with Mahomes. Certainly they don't want to. If they're sitting there at 9, I just cannot imagine that they're going to walk out of that with right tackle, with the only exception being if they just go berserk in free agency. Like, if they walk out of free agency with, pick your player, Adafe Owe and Mike Evans and Travis Etienne and Danico Autry, and they re-sign Cooker, and they just say, look, okay, right tackle, fine. But, they like Moore. They like Esapole. So after what they saw. So, I just think that is lower on the need list than a lot of other positions.
Couple more questions for Matt Verderame, our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. We were just talking about Brian Cook a little bit ago. The Chiefs seem likely to let their free agents, even their priority ones like Cook and Jalen Watson, Leo Chanel, maybe test the waters of free agency a little bit in that legal tampering period. Maybe they'll match. Maybe they'll try and bring some of those guys back. But the thought that Cook's market might be deflated by the safety group that's in this draft. Did the safety class stand out to you at the combine? And do you think that might deflate the value of some of the safeties out there, not just Cook, but guys like Kobe Bryant of Seattle and others, where it's not an elite class by any means, but there's some solid starting caliber players who might not get the 13, 14 million a year that was out there for safeties last year.
There are going to be a couple of free agent safeties, and good ones, that are going to go back to their teams for a lot less than they think they're going to. Now, Cook may not be one of them. Maybe Cook ends up being one of the guys who gets paid a fortune. But yeah, it's a strong safety class. It's not outrageous. Downs is clearly the best one, but it's got depth. There are plenty of guys, day 2, early day 3, I think teams will take and feel like they can compete for starting roles. When you look at this safety class, there are a lot of guys in free agency who are also players that are going to be coveted. Cam Curl, Kobe Bryant, Jaquan Brisker, Nick Cross. All these guys are out there, among others. Like, these are all guys who I think can get upwards of $10 million a year. And, Cook certainly is in that conversation. But let's be honest about it. Like, safety is not a position that a lot of teams spend premium money on. Now, the Chiefs, ironically, are actually a team they have. With Veach, they have spent on Tyrann Mathieu. They have spent on Justin Veach. They have significant round at safety. They prioritize that position a lot for those teams. So, get out of town and get 3 and 45. Yes. Would I be surprised if he ends up back in Kansas City? No. I think the only guy who I really feel like something odd would have to happen for him to come back is Watson, unless negotiations with McDuffie just fall through the floor and they feel like Watson. To me, the extension they want Rusty. But I think it can't be $1 year. He's probably on the problem.
Matt Verderame covers the National Football League for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Also has his own subscriber-only Patreon, the Matt Verderame Show, and you can catch him on that football show with the KC Sports Network as well. Joins us every Monday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good. Take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We'll take a timeout, come back, give you the good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend that was. Coming up next on 580 Sports Talk. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend that was. Spencer Dupuis here. Spencer, what was your good from the weekend?
Yeah, I haven't heard that music in quite some time with the headphones on in front of the mic. Good for me. Long week last week, working the ag shift all day. which got me rewarded with a great day of being outside and just doing random stuff on Saturday. That was the good.
Just had an enjoyable day.
Yeah, I went for a walk, tried to look for furniture at the Furniture Mall outlet that's closing, but there was nothing left, and then just drove around Topeka.
I will say my good is getting to sit and watch a little baseball this weekend. The Royals were on TV. They were on MLB Network on Saturday. They were playing the Rockies, which was a nice little bonus for me. So I got to watch a handful of innings of that game, saw some cool stuff. Both teams' top prospects and exciting young players doing some fun things. Saw my guy Eli Morgan work a scoreless inning. So really enjoyed getting to just sit down and watch a little baseball while my kid napped like a freaking champion all weekend. That's my good. What was your bad?
My bad and my ugly are the same thing. The weather, the last couple, like the turn. We have had our system off for the last week or so because it's been so nice. We had to turn it on in the middle of the night, go Saturday into Sunday.
My bad is that the Nuggets stink now. That's not fun. I don't enjoy the fact that the Nuggets are bad.
What comes around goes around.
You know, they're really banged up, and they got to get some guys healthy. But right now they're not fun to watch. They lost to Oklahoma City and Minnesota on the weekend. I hate both of those teams. Ugly, that punk, that goon, Lou Dort, who isn't even good at basketball, trying to take out Nikola Jokic's knee on Friday night. He got ejected from the game. He's lucky Jokic didn't asphyxiate him on the court, which is what I was rooting for. Lou Dort is a bum. And I can't believe anybody roots for those dorks, those goons for Oklahoma City. I hate those guys. I hate them like I haven't hated a pro sports team since the 1990s Red Wings. And I don't got the time to explain that one to you, but you buy me a beer someday, and I'll break that down. Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, we'll talk some Royals, the Marte Parte coming to KC, and some college hoops on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Now, number 2, 580 Sports Talk on this Monday afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you until 6 o'clock tonight. Jeff Mitty's show to follow. K-State women regular season wrapping up yesterday with a loss at home to Iowa State. K-State women play their first round game of the Big 12 tournament on Wednesday morning. It's an 11 a.m. tip. And we'll have it for you right here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9 with 10:30 pregame coverage. They will play Cincinnati in the first day of action. They are the 11 seed. Or did they end up with the 12? No, they end up with the 12. So they're the 12. And they will take on 13 seed Cincinnati at 11 o'clock at the T-Mobile Center on Wednesday morning. And we'll have that game and all the rest of them if K-State makes a run through the Big 12 women's basketball tournament here on 580 WIBW. Still to come on the program today, I'm going to get to a little baseball. Royals made a move during the weekend that we'll talk about to further tighten up the competition for a roster spot. As Starling Marte signed with the Royals, green terms, reportedly on a 1-year deal. We'll also get to that KU loss at Arizona the other day on Saturday afternoon. Game was gross, and maybe some of you gave up on it. It was like 21-5 early on. Then Kansas started hitting some shots.
I did. Then I checked my phone. I said, oh. And then I turned it back on, and then I immediately turned it off 5 minutes later.
So, they made a run. They got back within 2, and then Karchenkov made that 3 out of the corner that bounced off the back rim like 20 feet in the air, and then somehow came down, hit the rim twice, and went in. And that was the point at which the comeback was over for the Kansas Jayhawks. Arizona went on a huge run, ended up winning it by 23, 84-61. Darryn Peterson looked good, though. Not like shooting the basketball, but I thought he looked good. And we'll talk about, what that means for Kansas moving forward. Final 2 games, in this final week of the Big 12 men's basketball regular season. And KU can still get a double bye. They can still get a top 4 seed in the Big 12 tournament, depending on the results. In fact, depending on a result tonight, they could get the top 4 seed locked in if they win tomorrow night in Tempe against Arizona State. So we'll get into that a little bit. We got What Is Wrong With You coming up as well this hour. First installment of the month of March. Plus, you got your sports talk headlines. We'll get to some sub-state basketball postseason well and truly underway this week, with no disrespect to the classes that had already started first round action. And in fact, in Class 1A, we've got some district finals already, or sub-state finals already set. But the schedule for the week, it's nothing but postseason. 4A, 5A, 6A wrapped up the regular season last week. So it's win or go home from everybody from here on out. We'll tell you who's playing where, when, and when you can next hear high school basketball on 580 WIBW. Want to hear from you on the program today? The text line is 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. Shoot us a text, just, not while you're driving. You can voice text. You got that, what do you call it, CarPlay? You got the CarPlay going. Maybe you can voice text us. But 785-272-9429 is that number. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Appreciate those of you who've been checking out the show on YouTube recently, being a part of the live chat. Want to encourage you to make use of that during the program. We're streaming live on YouTube every moment that we are live on the air here on 580 Sports Talk. So jump in that live chat. 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel. Royals in action right now. They are in Tempe taking on the Los Angeles Angels, and currently in the top of the 8th inning, the Royals trail 4-2. Kansas City jumped out early with 2 runs in the first. Brandon Drury with an RBI and then another run scoring on an error but Royals have not scored since, have just 5 hits on the day. It's a very different looking lineup with the World Baseball Classic participants having decamped for the Royals and joining their respective World Baseball Classic teams. Vinny Pasquantino and Jack Caglione with Team Italy, Bobby Witt Jr. with Team USA, Michael Garcia, Salvador Perez with Team Venezuela. And so, yeah, it's a different looking group. It's a different looking lineup, and hasn't produced much today, just 5 hits in 7 innings. They bat now in the top half of the 8th. Down 4-2. Tough day for Noah Cameron, kind of death by pinprick for Cameron in his second spring start. Allowed 3 runs on 6 hits, 5 singles and a double, and a walk in 2 2/3 innings. Walked a man, did not strike out a batter. Daniel Lynch gave up a home run to Oswald Peraza in his inning of work. Nick Mears worked a scoreless frame with a strikeout, though he did walk a pair. Alec Lang with a strong inning, clean outing with a pair of strikeouts. The Royals made a transaction over the weekend, and it's a transaction they were trying to make last year. If you remember some of the rumor mongering last year, the Royals were looking for a veteran outfielder. They were trying to bring in a veteran outfielder before last season, and the guy they really wanted was Starling Marte from the Mets. They really wanted Starling Marte, and they couldn't pry him away from New York. They tried again around the deadline, could not get him out of New York. Well, now, after Marte's 4-year contract that he signed with the Mets prior to 2022 has expired, and he was a free agent, he was available to anybody, and the Royals, after other pursuits of right-handed veteran outfield bats went for naught, decided they would circle back to Starling Marte, and the report is that he has agreed to a 1-year deal with the Royals. 37-year-old right-hander is entering his 15th year of Major League Baseball. He has been just a part-time guy the last 3 years. Some of that due to injury, though last year was the first time that where he went into the season knowing he was going to be a part-time player because the Mets had signed Juan Soto to play his position, and Juan Soto is a good deal better than Starling Marte, if you didn't know that. In Marte's first year with the Mets, he was an all-star. You go back 2022, it doesn't seem that long ago. He was a 4-win player, hit 16 home runs, OPS of 814, stole 18 bases. Big part of a good Mets team. Last 3 years, though, injuries and the Soto signing relegating him to that part-time duty. Appeared in 98 games last year, 329 plate appearances, hit 270, 335 on base, 410 slug, which would have made him one of the best hitters, maybe the best hitter in the Royals outfield last season with those numbers. 14 doubles, 9 home runs, 7 for 9 stealing bases. That was a career low for Marte, who's got 361 career steals, which makes him the active major league leader in stolen bases. You could win some money on that trivia question. I'll tell you what.
That is, wow.
Yeah, go ask your buddy. Who's the active major league leader in stolen bases? Go ask a buddy today. See if they can come up with it. It's Starling Marte, 361 bags.
I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I think I know where Marte fits in, but I've seen a national outlet say that he's going to solve their DH problems.
Well, to the extent that they don't have a proven DH, if they're not going to DH Salvador Perez.
Yeah, well, I'm saying I feel like it's going to be Salvi or Vinny a good bunch of the season.
So,
unless they're planning to only use Salvi catching and DHing this year.
So, again, Marte's just a part-time guy anymore. Yeah. The legs are pretty shot. He can play. He's not going to kill you if he's got to put a glove on. Like he played left and right last year. First time he'd appeared in a game in left field since 2020. But like he's a 2-time Gold Glover back in his younger days with the Pirates. He was there. There was a time he was maybe one of the more underrated players in the game. 2-time Gold Glover, 2015 and 2016. He's not that kind of defender anymore, but he's not going to embarrass you. Like it's not going to look like Hunter Renfroe running around and fumbling around out there. He's a good outfielder. He doesn't have the legs that he used to, but the instincts and everything are still there. He can play left or right. And as a right-handed bat, there's certainly some appeal in the thought of against a really tough lefty. Maybe you give Jack Caglione the day off and you can put Marte out there in right. As far as the DH spot goes, so I don't know how popular this line of thinking is in the Royals front office, but Keith Law of The Athletic put out last week his list of the rookies he believes will make the biggest impact in 2026. And he had Carter Jensen at the top of his list in the American League. He's a big believer that what we saw in that month-long cameo from Carter Jensen, where he just hit the cover off the baseball, is the real thing. That's a repeatable thing that Carter Jensen's going to be able to do to big league pitchers. Maybe not hit 300 and slug 500 right out of the box as a rookie, but somebody he believes could potentially be an American League Rookie of the Year frontrunner, provided that he do a lot of the catching. And Law's argument is it's time for the Royals to let somebody other than Salvador Perez be the primary catcher. Now, again, I don't know how popular that line of thinking is among Matt Quatrero and J.J. Piccolo and the Royals pitchers, because their input certainly matters on the subject. But last year, Salvador Perez caught 89 of the 162 games. That's more than half of the games. Freddie Fermin caught 51. Luke Maile caught 15. Carter Jensen ended up catching 7 games. Those were all among the final 11 of the season. We know Perez is getting up there in years. He's going to be 36 on May 10th. It is probably about time that he do more DHing than catching. Maybe play a little bit of first base. You can, but now, like to your point, Spencer, this is where you've got another right-handed option at DH that you didn't have before, because your primary DHs last year, Salvador Perez actually had the most games as the DH for the Royals last season. He DH'd 38 times. Vinny Pasquantino DH'd 34 times. Jonathan India DH'd 27 times. I don't think they want to do that a whole lot. Carter Jensen was the DH 9 times. Adam Frazier was the DH 8 times. Dan, how'd the Royals finish 82 and 80 with all that great pitching they got? Well, Adam Frazier played a lot. Jack Caglione was the DH 7 times. They gave DH opportunities to, Grichuk and Mark Canha and Kevin Biggio, guys like that. Guys that you don't really want to make your designated hitter because they don't really hit, like Biggio in particular. So your primary options coming back for this year as the DH are Salvi and Vinny and probably Carter Jensen, because that's where you're going to get Jensen into the lineup if Perez is catching and you want to play Jensen. But Pasquantino and Jensen both left-handed. Well, what are you going to do against a tough lefty? What do you want to do against Tarek Skubal? How many lefties do you want in the lineup against a guy like that? How many guys you want lefties do you want in the lineup if you've got to face Skubal and Framber Valdez in a 3-game set with the Tigers? You're going to need another right-handed stick in the lineup against those guys. Now, the tricky part with Marte is that he's actually got reverse platoon splits for his career. And what that means is he's always hit righties better than he hits lefties. He hits same-handed pitching better. Now, last season that was the case. The season before it was not the case. We're talking about smaller sample sizes. But 2 years ago, he had an OPS over 800 against lefties and an OPS under 700 against righties. And a lot of times as players get older, they'll see that they are generally more useful against same hand or opposite hand pitching. They become platoon players. And I think that's sort of the idea for Marte, that, okay, yeah, he's going to hit righties just fine, but he's going to help us protect some of our lefties and get those guys out of the lineup against some of the really good lefties, whether that's giving Caglione a day off and right, whether that's serving as the DH on a day where Perez is catching and you only want to play 1 or 2 of Pasquantino and Caglione and Jensen. Marte gives you that option. It's why it was so important to get a right-handed bat. And it's not really a surprise that it ends up being one that the Royals have kind of publicly lusted after for a while. Beyond the numbers, beyond the statistical impact that he's going to hopefully give the Royals, everybody says Marte is a tremendous clubhouse guy. And that's been the case his entire career. Was reading something last year, or earlier today, actually. It was an article from last year about how important it was that Marte helped Juan Soto feel welcome and feel loose in the Mets clubhouse. And that says a ton about the guy, because Soto took his spot, right? Like, Marte had been the right fielder for the New York Mets. And then Juan Soto takes his spot. And this is the guy who's going to turn you into now, like, the last phase of your career. Like, you get phased out. You're an everyday guy, then you're a part-time guy. Then you got to find something else to do with your life. All right, then they stop giving you a jersey.
Then they ask if you want to come up and be in the booth.
Yeah, they ask you want to coach. You know, it's one of those things. They're having difficult conversations. So for Marte to have been that kind of mentor to Soto in the Mets clubhouse last year suggests to me this is a guy who's team first. He's going to be the guy, like, if the Royals are dancing in the clubhouse after home runs, Marte is going to be in the middle of that. Marte is going to be a really important guy to mentor young players. And he's done that for not just the Spanish-speaking players in the clubhouse. Last year on the Mets, for instance, because they had a bunch of young guys who were coming up last year and really getting their first taste. But a guy like Mark Vientos, who's got, Latino heritage, but he's born in Connecticut, and he went to high school in Florida. He's as American as you and me, and talked about how important Marte was as a mentor to him. So he's going to be a guy that plays a role beyond just getting a couple of starts a week as the DH or as the right fielder to fill in for Caglione. So I like the cultural fit. I like the idea of the fit. Obviously, with a 37-year-old player, you're taking the chance that it's just gone, right? That the legs are, he'll show up to camp and there's even less juice in the tank. The legs are totally gone and he really can't handle right field and he just doesn't have anything to offer anymore. But it's a chance that I think is a good one to take for the Royals because he was productive. He was an above-average offensive player in part-time duty last year, and because he's going to add to the clubhouse for as long as he's in it. So now what does the position player mix for the Royals look like? If your most common lineup, you go 2 through 9 scoring-wise, right? Like in your scorebook where 2's catcher, 9's right. If you've kept score, you know how I mean it. So you run through that, and it's Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, Jonathan India is your second baseman, Garcia third, Witt at short, and left to right. Maybe a little tougher to figure out left field right now. I still think it's going to be Isaac Collins, but Lane Thomas having a really good spring. Had a 3-run triple against the Rockies on Saturday, swinging the bat really well early on, looking like maybe he's recovered from those injuries that really cost him a season with the Guardians last year. Kyle Isbell going to be your day-to-day center fielder. Jack Caglione is in right. So those 8 guys are on the team. Carter Jensen's going to be your backup catcher and play a lot more than that title suggests because he's going to DH. He's going to have a bat that you got to have in the lineup. He's going to make the team. That's 9. That leaves you 4 more reserves. And now Starling Marte, I believe, is as much a lock for this roster as Lane Thomas is. I think Michael Massey, who is himself also having a good spring.
Yeah.
I think he's a lock too. I think 12 of the 13 spots are spoken for. I think the bench right now is Jensen, Marte, Thomas, Massey. I think you need one more guy, probably one who can play the infield. And that probably boxes out Dairon Blanco. I think he's probably not going to break north with the club. 5 guys, I think it could possibly be Nick Lofton, who had a grand slam on Saturday and had 2 hits today. Brandon Drury, who I've said I liked as a dark horse to make the team. Tyler Tolbert, they love his speed. And he's got versatility.
Does he have any options left?
Yeah, he does. He has options left, which would make him an appealing guy to be able to kind of bounce back and forth. Kevin Newman, who's another veteran guy. Maybe they like his glove well enough to keep him. He's getting an early look. And then Josh Rojas, who's had a strong spring so far for the Royals, could be another option. It's going to be somebody who play on the dirt and probably... I don't necessarily think it has to be somebody who plays shortstop because in an emergency, Garcia can just slide over there. He's your backup shortstop. So I don't think it has to be somebody who can play short. So it could be Drury, who's not a shortstop. Lofton came up as a shortstop, kind of a stretch to put him there. He's more second base, third base, maybe some left field. But he's having the best, him and Rojas are having the best springs of that group so far. But that's the group. Like it's those 5 for one spot at this point. I think everything else is pretty well locked up. They're through 8 in Tempe, still 4-2. Scoreless inning with a pair of strikeouts for Steven Cruz. I think it's the first time I've seen him in a box score this spring. So good outing for Steven Cruz, who certainly projects to make the Royals bullpen. Another guy who projects to make the Royals is Matt Strahm. He wears number 25, and that's appropriate because we've got 25 days until Royals opening day. The Royals at the Braves on March 27th. So we are 25 days away from opening day. Matt Strahm is the current number 25. Never forget, he came up as a Royal. He looked dynamite in 2016. Looked like a real relief stud for the future. Then he wasn't as good in 2017, and he got hurt. And then at the trade deadline, the Royals sent him, Esteury Ruiz, and Travis Wood, and some cash to the Padres for a trio of pitchers: Ryan Buchter, Trevor Cahill, and Brandon Maurer. And I remember thinking, I like that trade. I just hope trading Strahm doesn't come back to bite him. Well, Strahm's gone on to a pretty good career, especially the last 3 years in Philadelphia. Cahill barely pitched. Buchter wasn't any good, but he was freaking young compared to Brandon Maurer as a Royal. So that trade turned out to be an absolute disaster. Other notable 25s in Royals history. First one was Mo Drabowski, two-time World Series champion, not with the Royals. He also played for the Kansas City A's. In fact, the rare distinction of having played for both the A's and the Royals in KC. Paul Splittorff started with the number 25. So did George Brett. There's a trivia question for you. George Brett wore number 25, 1973 and 1974. So did George's brother, Ken, in the early 80s. Danny Jackson, shout out Aurora, Colorado, his hometown and mine. He wore it for the 1985 World Champions. Jose Lima wore it as a Royal in 2023. Man, RIP to Lima time. One of my all-time favorites. Kendrys Morales wore the number on the World Champions in 2016. The last Royal to wear it in a regular season game. Who remembers Frank Schwindel? This is a funny one. Frank the Tank. So Schwindel was like a minor league lifer who had a huge spring, and he made the team out of spring training in 2019. And he went 1 for 15, promptly sent back down to the minor leagues. And then it was like, all right, we're never going to hear from this guy again. 2 years later, he turns up in Chicago, and he hits like Ted Williams for 2 months. Hit 342 with a 1,002 OPS in 56 games with the Cubs in 2021. It's like, oh, my God, the Cubbies found something. Yeah, next year he hit 229. And then we never did hear from Frank Schwindel again. But he's the last to wear number 25 for the Royals. We'll take a timeout here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, it's our first round of What Is Wrong With You for the month of March on the program. It's time to start a new month of What Is Wrong With You here on 580 Sports Talk. We got two brand new stories. In case you missed it, the teacher who did coke in the classroom bathroom, the elementary school teacher who did coke in the classroom bathroom, was our winner of the month of February. So we've got two entrants into the Tournament of Failed Champions for December. Now we start on the March to a third here in the month of March. Spencer, I'll let you lead off. First story of March. What do you got?
Yeah.
More thrown food?
That's what I was about to say. I'm going back to the well.
How? Stop throwing food at people. What are we doing?
Except for this one is
I guess this
frappe.
is a beverage.
Yes.
Okay.
An ex-con is back on ice after he struck a McDonald's drive-thru worker in the face with a thrown frozen coffee beverage, according to court records. The frappe rap against Daniel Abramowitz is classified as a felony since the Florida man's rap sheet includes a prior domestic battery conviction for punching his girlfriend, the mother of his child, in the face. Police say they arrested him with the January 31st incident in connection with the January 31st incident at a McDonald's in Seminole, Florida. Investigators allege that he was behind the wheel of a vehicle in the drive-thru lane around 1 a.m. when he engaged in a brief discussion with the food worker. He then threw a blended frozen coffee beverage, McDonald's frappe, at the victim. The drink struck the 28-year-old victim in the facial region, causing the beverage container to break open upon impact.
So the lid came off.
The contents landed on the victim's facial region, hair, and jacket. The battery, cops noted, was recorded by surveillance camera, and the victim identified him as the assailant. In addition to the battery count, he has been charged with violating the terms of his 3-year probation sentence levied following the 2023 felony conviction for stealing and pawning a watch. He's a New Jersey native. His criminal background also includes other convictions for obstruction, probation violation, and burglary. He has served separate 3 and 6 month sentences in county jail before. So
yeah, real prince of a guy
yes.
here, which you'd have to be to throw a drink at somebody. Engaged in a brief discussion is a very funny detail of the story. Those frappes are good, though. My wife loves them.
I haven't had
like
one.
Sometimes that'll be like the little kick in the tail she needs sometimes, little caffeine buzz from the frappe. She likes the frappes. She would never throw one at somebody. I feel confident in saying. I think
your wife is an upstanding citizen.
I feel confident in saying that she is. So that is our first story today. For my story, we're going to Florida. We meet police officer Christian Madsen, who has allegedly falsified more than 200 hours of overtime and collected more than $14,000 in unearned pay over a 3-month span. So he's clocking in for overtime, but he's not really working. He's just clocked in and accepting the overtime payments. What was he doing instead? Well, he was clocking in with his girlfriend, who was also his boss. The sheriff of Jacksonville, T.K. Waters, confirmed that during at least some of the times Madsen is accused of falsely clocking in, he traveled to the home of his boss, Patrol Support Division Chief Jamie Eason, and Waters confirmed that the two were involved in a romantic relationship. Waters, quote, "I'm very disappointed. I mean, she knows that. We talked. I'm very disappointed. But at the same time, business goes on. We have to take care of business." Now, before we go blaming the girlfriend / boss here, Waters said Eason was not responsible for signing off on Madsen's overtime, which that's weird. Like, if I'm your boss, I feel like I probably got to be signing off on your overtime. Like, I don't understand.
You'd think, right?
I guess I don't know all of the responsibilities of the Patrol Support Division Chief, but Eason was not responsible for signing off on the overtime. And at this point, there is no evidence she was aware he was clocking hours during their time together. He was clocking something else. Waters said that Eason has resigned.
Yeah, you'd think.
You kind of have to.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a whole nepotism policy in place that you're not supposed to do this. And if you do end up doing this, you got to tell people. that you're doing it. Like dating a superior.
Yes.
Not doing it. Although there was some of that probably going on. More quote from Sheriff Waters. As we have said many times before, no one is above the law. Why do you have to keep saying that, Sheriff Waters?
Yeah, well, come on.
Why do you have to keep saying that?
How many times you got in trouble with how many sheriff deputies?
Yeah, how many of your officers keep getting in trouble with the law? Anyway, so yeah, this guy, 200 hours of overtime, $14,000 in a 3-month span. Like, if he'd done it little by little, he might have been able to escape undetected.
But you're looking up $14,000 over 2 years. You know, you might have been able to get away with it.
Yeah, $14,000 over 2 years is nothing. Like, even so, 200 hours of overtime and $14,000 in 3 months. So that's easy math. That's like $3,000 additionally a month. Over $3,000 additionally a month in 3 months in overtime pay. And they think, man, this guy really putting in the work. And they go and check his like call logs and whatever. So what's he doing? He's sitting around watching Netflix. Well, he's Netflix and chilling, it sounds like, with his boss. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I think that's got to win because.
Yeah, man, that's flagrant.
Yeah.
Jeffrey in the YouTube chat says as a boss, she offers excellent benefits. Yeah, man, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
I guess. So that's our winner.
We're coming back.
Working overtime and hardly working. That's going to be our winner for What Is Wrong With You. When we come back, tough day for KU in Tucson on Saturday. But Darryn Peterson looked spry. That was good. We'll talk about that next on 580 Sports Talk. .441 on 580 Sports Talk. Royals tied that game in the top of the ninth, scored a pair of runs with 2 out, and they have tied the Angels at 4 as they go on to play the bottom of the ninth, which will be the final half inning. Royals seeking their second tie of Cactus League play. Peyton Wilson and Carson Rocafort with RBI singles in the rally. Those are names you know if you're a real minor league baseball sicko and you've been following the Royals through the minors. Rocafort might have some juice as an outfield prospect. But they play on into the bottom of the ninth in Tempe. In Tucson on Saturday, there was not a tying rally in the cards for Kansas. So it was close. It was close. KU down huge in the first half, got within 49-47, and then player 2 entered the game. Arizona got serious, and they went on another huge run. They ended up winning the game by 23 on Saturday. And it's obvious. All you have to do is look at the two teams when they stand next to each other, that Arizona is a bad physical matchup for Kansas. We noticed the first time that these two teams played each other. It stuck out so much to me. I remember talking to CJ Moore about it at Allen Fieldhouse that night. I saw him in the press room at halftime getting my Buster bar. And I asked CJ, man, does KU look small? Like their guards in particular, don't they look small next to Arizona? And CJ kind of laughs at everybody looks small next to Arizona. They're just so big. And it's not just like, because Javari McDowell's 6'5", but his 6'5" and Braden Berry's 6'5" are very different. His 6'5" and like even Jaden Bradley's 6'3" is different. Like Arizona is just bigger and stronger than Kansas is. And so the one thing that Kansas couldn't have happen was for their preferred front court to take a foul trouble related hit. And Bryson Tiller picked up a second foul like 3 minutes into the game. And I saw that. It was not an illegal screen. Like you can't pick up a second foul on an illegal screen. That's just such a freshman mistake by Tiller, who's played really well, really most of the Big 12 season, certainly in February. Better at home than on the road, but you'd expect that from a freshman. He set that illegal screen. He picked up his second foul, and I said, uh-oh. Oh, no. And the bludgeoning began. Arizona was just so much better, so much tougher, so much stronger, so much taller in the post all game long. And Kansas couldn't make up that differential at the free throw line in the way that they did in the first meeting. In that first game, they were able to attack the rim and draw some fouls, and they got to the line. They shot it great at the foul line in that game. In this game, KU was a lot more tentative driving the ball, settled for a lot of threes and mid-range jumpers and drives into traffic that didn't result in contact. Kansas was plus 13 at the free throw line, scored 13 more points than Arizona did when they beat them at the Fog. Arizona was plus 20 at the free throw line in yesterday's game or Saturday's game. The other thing Arizona did was they scored more in the paint, which they're always going to do against a team like Kansas, who just doesn't, again, they don't have that kind of size. They don't have that kind of ability to score inside that Arizona does. But in the first meeting, and CJ Moore had all these stats today in The Athletic. I got to shout out CJ for this. Kansas kept the paint battle at -2 in the first meeting. They were only -2 points in the paint. Well, they were -10 on Saturday. So you're -10 in the paint, you're -30 at the line. You better shoot the bejesus out of it from three, and that is not what Kansas did. You better make a ton of tough 2-point shots, and that is not what Kansas did. That is in particular not really what Darryn Peterson did. It was a particularly hard first half for Peterson. Did not play very well in the first half. Ended up finishing with 24 points. He had 12 points in each half. Knocked down 3 of his 8 3-pointers, made all of his threes, but only shot 38% from the field. And to me, watching him shooting-wise, like if you golf, this is the metaphor I'll use. If you golf and you're trying to make a putt by, they call it dying it in the hole, like you're just trying to get it there and just have it kind of plop in there at the very last spin. Like you're trying to die those putts on the front of the cup instead of pouring it right into the heart. That's what Peterson's jumper looked like in the first half against Arizona. He had that air ball on a 3 that everybody thought got deflected, but it really didn't. It was a good contest. There are a couple of others. Just felt like he was just short. It was
close. It was really close.
Short on the jumper. It looked like he was just trying to die the jumper into the rim, in on the front rim rather than putting it through the hoop. And I thought he got better in the second half. But the thing I was most encouraged by from Peterson was I thought he was moving around a lot better than he did on Monday night, even on Monday night against Houston. In the second half of that game, I didn't think Peterson was moving great. I thought he looked good both halves, just moving around. And look, this is what we do with Darryn Peterson. This is where we're at with him. We scrutinize every touch of the basketball, every shot, every decision, every time he goes to the bench. Does he put the heat on his thighs or not? The heat wraps on or not? When did he come out? How long did he stay out? Did he look toward the bench at any point? We critique and we talk about it because it is the story. But I thought Peterson looked physically good. Didn't shoot it great, but I thought physically he looked good. He looked up for the challenge of playing that team. He looked up for the challenge of being physical, and that's really encouraging. Now we got to see him do it again, back it up on it's not the immediate Friday to Monday turnaround. We got to see how he looks Tuesday night in Tempe, back-to-back road games, and certainly there will be bigger tests to come in the Big 12 tournament and the NCAA tournament. But that was a version of Peterson that I thought was pretty encouraging. The thing that was not encouraging was how willing the other four guys on the court were to watch Peterson dribble the ball into dust and miss mid-range jumpers in the first half. Like, the ball was very sticky in the first half in particular. In the second half run for Arizona was an avalanche. But in the first half, it was a lot about Kansas was not playing good. And they weren't playing good because the ball wasn't moving. And Bill Self spoke to that today. He had some media availability today down in Tempe, where they're getting ready to play Arizona State tomorrow. And I thought this quote was really interesting. Henry Greenstein of the Lawrence Journal-World transcribed this, and it's on his X account. This is what Bill Self said, quote, teams that we've had make good runs, I mean, those guys have been playing together all year long. It's different when you have an injury, but that injury eliminates. It's different when you have something that doesn't eliminate. All it does is just linger. I don't think that I've been around a team where we differ more how we look from a sharing aggressiveness standpoint, personality standpoint, more at this stage of the season than what this team does. And we've talked about it as a group, so I'm not talking obviously behind anyone's back. We've talked about it as a group that we have to do certain things to give us the best chance to play with the energy that we've played with at times this year when it's been elite. And him, Darryn Peterson, be a part of that energy as opposed to let's just try to play to get him shots or whatever. It changes the mindset that I don't think the energy is quite the same. We need both. Self continued. We need him, Peterson, to be energetic. But we also need our players to play with the same aggressiveness as they do when he's in the game and still look to score. We just defer. And it's something we've talked about it, and the players don't disagree. They see it and they feel it too. We haven't been together near as much as what you would think a team in early March has been together. And that's sort of the idea that we've been talking about throughout this entire Big 12 season is the pitfalls of Peterson's sporadic availability is you lose the opportunity to work together in game situations. Because by all accounts, like, except when he was out with the hamstring during non-conference, Peterson's been practicing.
Yeah.
And
the only time he didn't other than that was when he was sick. He would shoot.
Right.
Try to warm up, practice, nothing there.
So, like, and they're practicing, and that's one thing. But it's different when it's in the game. That's where you really learn how to play together is when you're playing, the other team and not, the scout team. And Bill Self's been very frank, throughout the season about the challenges that creates. I don't think, though, and I think Self kind of nods to that in that quote, I don't think that's a Darryn Peterson problem. I don't think that Darryn Peterson is out there to be ball dominant, that he's got to make up for lost time by scoring or whatever. But I do think that there are times when you've got a player as good as Peterson is, where it's almost natural you defer a little bit, where you think, oh, he's got this. He's going to go get us a bucket. Man, I'm not making any shots today, so hopefully this guy will. And that's what it felt like in the first half. Everybody came out cold. Darryn Peterson looked like the only guy willing to shoot. I don't blame Peterson for that. I don't blame him for his approach. I think the problem was he was the only one willing to shoot and that nobody else played with any confidence. I think the thing that Self is really looking for is they've got to have nights where everybody plays with confidence. And what that looks like is the Houston game. What that looks like is Trey White's making from his spots, and Melvin Council's doing his thing from his spots, and Bryson Tiller's doing his thing from his spots, and Flory Badunga's rim running and defending and controlling games that way, and Peterson's doing what he's doing from his spot. But that's everybody playing with confidence. Because when you're not playing with confidence, when you got four guys on the floor that aren't offensively confident, then deferring is what comes naturally. So I think it's less of a, Darryn Peterson's a ball hog type of issue. I think it's more of a confidence issue. And that if Kansas can play with offensive confidence, everybody can get offensive confidence, that ball starts popping. You saw it when they made the run to get back within two. The ball started moving better. Different guys were scoring. Council was doing his thing. So to me, that is more a confidence issue. But every coach will tell you this. You cannot let your offensive confidence or your lack thereof dictate your energy. Because if that hurts your energy, it's going to hurt it on the defensive end, and you're not going to get stops, and you're not going to get rebounds. And that's what happened. So it was an immature and I think kind of a soft effort, largely, for Kansas against Arizona. But at the same time, that might be the best team in the country. And they played really, really well. And sometimes best team in the country at home plays really, really well. They're going to knock your socks off your feet. And that's what happened to KU on Saturday. We'll take a break, come back. We'll wrap up this second hour of 580 Sports Talk after this. Wrapping up this 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk regarding that KU loss. Christopher points out in the YouTube chat, don't think I've ever heard of a top-tier team allowing an 18-0 and a 19-0 run in the same game. I think the top tier only has 3 teams in it. I think it's Arizona, it's Michigan, and Duke. And I think if your NCAA March Madness tournament bracket, your bracket challenge, whatever you got going on, if your bracket doesn't have one of those 3 teams winning it all, your bracket's wrong. I think those are the 3 best teams in the country. I think they are a cut above everybody else, just based on what they are capable of doing to everybody else. Now, it's March. You can never guarantee anything. You know, that's how it goes. It's the magic of the tournament, right? And there are no guarantees. But I will be stunned if it's not one of Arizona, Michigan, or Duke winning the national championship. I mean, stunned. Quick update on that Royals game. They lost.
Oh man,
5-4 your final. Hunter Pattison was on the mound for the Royals in the ninth. Gave up a 2-out RBI single to Yolmer Sanchez, who I totally forgot existed. I didn't even know he was still playing pro ball. Hasn't been in the major league. Hasn't appeared in a major league game since 2022. Hasn't been a major league regular since 2019 with the White Sox. But Yolmer Sanchez still kicking it. 34 years old. 33, turns 34 later this year. And he's in the Angels system, and he beat the Royals today. 5-4 final. Royals dropped to 5-5 in Cactus League play. Coming up at the 5 o'clock hour, we got our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We got a sub-state high school basketball outlook. All kinds of games coming up this week, and we'll tell you which one on Wednesday you'll be able to hear on 580 WIBW. Also, this seems likely to be the week that we get Travis Kelce's decision. So we'll go on record. We'll make one final prediction. Is Travis Kelce playing or not? We'll make the pick. That's coming up. Final hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of 580 Sports Talk on this Monday. Thanks so much for being here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And of course, in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you for one more hour today. We'll hand things off to the Jeff Mittie Show at the top of the 6 o'clock hour to conclude your sports programming for the evening here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. Final Jeff Mittie Show of the season ahead of the Big 12 tournament coming up on Wednesday. It'll be a morning tip, 11 a.m. for the K-State women against Cincinnati. You'll hear it right here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9, a 10:30 pregame show. Yes?
So it's all, I feel like every year, at least since I've been here, I don't know, I haven't followed the Big 12 that closely for when everything is. Feels like KU and K-State, no matter what, for the Big 12 tournament, men's or women's, they're always, one's in the morning session and one's in the evening session. I just feel like that's how it works, and that's how it's working for women this year.
Yeah, that it does seem how it got divvied up. So that'll be how that'll be how that shakes out. K-State wins Wednesday morning. They'll play again Thursday morning. So we'll of course have all the action throughout the tournament, all the K-State games right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Coming up here in the final hour of the program today, we're going to have our 580 Sports Talk headlines, recap everything that went down today, looking back on the weekend, and we'll get you the winner's circle. We'll get you a little bit of college baseball as well in the 580 Sports Talk headlines. We'll get you set for sub-state basketball. Postseason has arrived for everybody. Most classes are down to Final Fours in sub-state round, except for 1A Division 1, 1A Division 2. They've already got some championship games set for this coming Friday and Saturday, and they're going to set the rest of them with action tonight. So we'll let you know who locally is still alive for the right to chase the gold ball. And once again, of course, next week, WIBW will be your home for the state's best and most comprehensive state tournament coverage. We'll have broadcasters at 3 of the 4 state tournament sites. We will have day-long play-by-play coverage of featured games and other whip-around coverage. And we're proud to bring it to you for the, how many years is it now? I think we're getting up on 60. I think we're either on 59 or 60 years. I got to go look that up. I got it written down somewhere, but it's not in front of me. But yeah, we're coming up on close to 60 years, if we're not there already, of state tournament basketball coverage right here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. We'll take a look at the sub-state brackets, and we'll get our final predictions on record. Is Travis Kelce going to play or not? I think we're going to know this week. I think that Travis Kelce is not going to leave us hanging for too much longer. Maybe even make the announcement on New Heights this week. That would seem to make a lot of sense. But
so then that's in less than 2 days. We'll know.
The new league year is coming, and the Chiefs need to know, all right, do we need salary cap room for our future Hall of Fame tight end? And if they do, maybe that impacts, like, do they release Noah Gray? If they know Kelce's coming back for one more year, they cut Noah Gray and save that $4 million and apply that to whatever Kelce will cost against the cap. That certainly makes that a more realistic possibility. So they got to know if Kelce's playing or not. And I think this is probably the time for Kelce to give him at least a week of lead time to know I'm playing or I'm not playing. So I think we're going to find out this week. So we'll go ahead and we'll make our projections here on the program. And you can make your predictions as well. You can text the program, 785-272-9429, 785-272-9429. Put your name on it. You don't have to put your name on it. If you're texting, you can remain anonymous. We put our names on it every day. But if you're in a YouTube comment, put your name on it. Is Kelce coming back or not? Make your prediction. 785-272-9429 on the text line. And again, the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to the channel if you have not already. All it costs you is a click. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Let's get to the headlines, shall we? And let's begin by congratulating the individual state champions in wrestling from Shawnee County from the state high school wrestling championships, which were concluded over the weekend. 3 of them from Shawnee Heights girls wrestling: Sienna Graves at 155 pounds, Olive Jones, also a champion at 135, Brinley Morris, a freshman, taking home a state title at 120. First time that the Shawnee Heights girls have had multiple, or rather more than 2 individual state championships or champions at the state wrestling championships. So congratulations to those 3. Also bringing home state championships, Landon Coacher Munoz for Washburn Rural. It's his 3rd in a row, 3-time state champion at 144 pounds. Also Jaden Baum for the Washburn Rural boys, a state champion at 215. So those were the Shawnee County state wrestling champions. Those 5 Washburn Rural boys and girls each finished 3rd at state. Shawnee Heights girls were 3rd in Class 5A. There were also 3 runner-up finishes from the county as well. Hayden Senior Jude Krentz, second place finisher at 190. Nora Mitchell, second place at 105 for Rossville in 3A1A. Nora Mitchell also plays basketball, I believe. I might have that wrong. I might have that backwards. But no, Nora Mitchell, whether she plays 2 sports or not, still had a terrific year and finished as a runner-up. I apologize if I got that information totally backwards. And Silver Lake Paxton Willett, also a runner-up in 3-1A at 190. So great season on the mats all the way around. Michaela Cadets, almost forgot her. Don't want to forget her. Michaela Cadet was the runner-up for Highland Park in Class 5A, was the defending state champion in her weight class and finishes a runner-up this year. So there you have it. Those were the individual champs and runners-up from the county from state wrestling. Congratulations to those young men and women. Everybody else who made the state tournament in one of the most physically and mentally demanding high school sports that there is. That season coming to an end over the weekend. Give me a headline, Spencer.
Yeah, in the most shocking manner, just kidding, everybody figured this would happen. Julia Davis has once again been named as the KU women's basketball forward. She's been named the Big 12 Freshman of the Week for the unprecedented 9th time. That's the most by any power conference player.
And it's the 9th time in a row. It's not just the 9th time. It's 9 consecutive weeks. She's been the best freshman in the conference.
Yeah, and I think they only played 1 game over the weekend. They didn't play 2 games last week, so they only played 1. She's been amazing since she got back in the lineup January 1st, I think, against West Virginia. And if tomorrow is the day in which the Big 12 announces their regular season award winners before the Big 12 tournament sets to start on Wednesday, I would venture to guess we're going to be talking about her winning the Big 12 Freshman of the Year.
I would say it would be a substantial upset if she were not.
I think people would be rioting.
Yeah, I would be very surprised. The Jayhawks you mentioned, they enter the Big 12 tournament as the number 11 seed. They play UCF Wednesday night at 8. If they won, they'd go on to play Colorado. KU probably needs a good showing in the tournament on the women's side. 18-12 on the year, 8-10 in the conference. I am not alone in saying it would be a massive disappointment and frankly underperformance if the Jayhawk women do not make the NCAA tournament. Given the level of talent on that roster, they shouldn't even have to be fighting their way in off the bubble. They should have been easily into the tournament with the talent they have, and the fact that they're not raises some questions about the direction of that program under longtime head coach Brandon Schneider. K-State has to win the tournament to get in. They also win 8-10 in the league, but just 15-16 on the season. Next headline for me, we'll pivot over back to the men. The AP Top 25 men's college basketball poll came out today, and Kansas held steady at number 14 after going 1-1 last week with a win over then number 5 Houston, and a loss to then number 2 Arizona. Top 3 remains the same, unchanged. Duke, Arizona, and Michigan. Duke with 55 of the first place votes. Arizona with 4. UConn and Florida both hop into the top 5 this week. I cannot wait to pick against UConn in the round of 32. I can't wait. I cannot wait to pick against UConn in the round of 32. I'm just telling you right now. Florida massacred Arkansas on Saturday, put 111 points on them. They're up to number 5. Iowa State and Houston both drop out of the top 5. Iowa State lost to JT Toppinless Texas Tech, who is now 3-0 without Toppin.
I was going to say, pretty intriguing team without one of the best players in the conference.
Well, if they can keep shooting the 3, I think they're like 45%. CJ Moore had the stat in his top 25 for the Athletic today. But they've been shooting. I mean, they're a good three-point shooting team. They've been shooting like an elite three-point shooting team the last 3 games. If that continues, then, they're going to be dangerous. Probably not going to shoot 45-ish% through the rest of the season. So they'll have to come up with some other solutions. But it's been very cool to see that. I got a ton of respect for Grant McCasland. I just think he's outstanding as the coach of that program. To keep it on the rails. I mean, that could have been just a punch in the gut losing Toppin, and they've won 3 straight, including at Hilton Coliseum, where nobody else had won all season. So Iowa State drops to 6. Houston drops to 7 after that loss to KU, even though they beat Colorado by 40 at the Fertitta Center on Saturday. 8, 9, and 10, Michigan State, Nebraska, and Texas Tech, all new to the top 10 this week. Texas Tech, obviously, the big riser in that group. 11 through 15, Illinois, Gonzaga, Virginia, Kansas, and Purdue, who dropped 7 spots after a tough week. 16 through 20, Alabama, North Carolina, St. John's, Miami, and Arkansas, new to the poll this week. St. Mary's, Miami, Florida, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and St. Louis drop out of the top, or round out, I should say, the top 25. Miami, Ohio, not in the top 25, but
they won, but barely.
Yeah,
I tuned into the end of that game, man. That was crazy.
Yeah, still unbeaten at 29-0, but nobody's buying it. And now they got Bruce Pearl out there doing the dirty work for all of the committee members who really don't want to put them in the tournament if they don't win the MAC tournament. They don't want to put them in the field of 68. And Bruce Pearl's on national TV talking about, no, you should put my son's team in instead.
What a disgrace, man.
Yeah, I can't stand Bruce Pearl. Like, absolute nut job. Bruce Pearl, just a total nut. His kids' team is 15-14 for the record. They don't have a good roster, but that was
his team until he decided to just abruptly retire.
Hand it over to his kid. They were the number 1 overall seed, I think, in the NCAA tournament last year.
Yeah,
and this year they're 15-14. Interesting. Just asking questions. Not only did they fall out of the top 25, I don't think they got a vote this week. Wow, just crazy. St. Mary's beat Gonzaga, another team you should pick to lose at your earliest convenience in your NCAA tournament bracket. Gonzaga.
Always, man.
Get them out of here.
Few can't win in the tournament.
I was talking to Brendan Brzezinski.
They've bitten me so many times.
I was talking to Brendan Brzezinski about this off the air. He said, even in like the long history of Gonzaga teams that were kind of fake going into the tournament, this is the fakest one. So just keep that in mind. Short Gonzaga and short UConn. Next headline, Spencer.
Yes, we're going to stay in college athletics, get you a little weekend recap of college baseball from the area squads in D1. K-State takes 2 out of 3 from Columbia at home, splitting the doubleheader Friday and winning 5-2 on Saturday. Offense has come and gone since their red-hot start and surprise. Carson Liggett's, is it Liggett's?
I believe it is Liggett. Yeah, he started on Saturday on the mound, only made it 1 inning, had to leave the game due to injury. Also got hurt last year. Yeah. K-State needs him. He's a big part of their weekend rotations, where their pitching plans for the season. So hopefully he's all right.
Another guy that's a big part of their plans is Grant Gallagher. He was named co-newcomer of the week for the Big 12 this week. He transferred in from East Tennessee State. He's had a standout weekend, hitting .444, going 8 of 18 with a 1267 OPS. The third baseman drove the first pitch he faced over the wall in left center field to drive in the tying and game-winning runs to even the series against Columbia. He led K-State into the first series victory of the season. He also hit a game-tying 2-run shot in their 3-2 defeat against Louisiana last week. So he's had some power for them early. He gets recognized for that power, the East Tennessee State senior transfer.
KU split
Yes.
over the weekend as well. They played 4 at Minnesota.
At U.S. Bank Stadium.
Yeah. The indoor home of the Golden Gopher baseball. One on Thursday, got blown out Friday and Saturday, but we're able to salvage a split on Sunday. Quick correction before we continue. I don't know how I missed this. Miami, Ohio was ranked this week. I think I probably read them and just glossed over it because I saw the other Miami instead, and it broke my brain. With Miami of Florida also in the poll. But yes, the unbeaten Red Hawks are still ranked. They're number 19 in the country. It's their highest ranking since 1953. They are not unranked and not receiving votes anymore. Bruce Pearl does not have that kind of stroke. So I apologize. I must have had a stroke. I read right over their name in the top 25. My apology. I think I might have skipped 16 through 20. Alabama, North Carolina, St. John's, Miami, Ohio, and Arkansas. I think it did. I think I just jumped right over them. My bad. My apologies. The intern responsible for that mistake has been fired. Let's get to the NFL for some headlines. A couple of trades today, both involving the Houston Texans. First, they shipped tackle Titus Howard to the Cleveland Browns in exchange for a 5th-round pick. The Browns are going to extend Howard's contract. They gave him $21 million a year. So I think Juwaan Taylor is going to get a very similar contract to what the Chiefs are walking away from somebody else. Because if Titus Howard is $21 million a year player, I think Juwaan Taylor is still probably in that neighborhood too. Howard was the starting right tackle. Oh gosh, the initial report was 3 years, $63 million extension. It's going to be 2 years, $45 million on the extension that will start in 2027. So it may be that you add it all up and it's 3 for 63.
Yeah.
But the extension puts him at $22.5 million per year. So yeah, shoot, Juwaan Taylor should go onto the market expecting he's going to get $20 million a year. Howard is 30 years old in May, 7 years in the pros, all with the Texans, 93 starts. Started all over the line, but primarily at right tackle. 52nd out of 68 qualifying tackles in pass block win rate. Juwaan Taylor's been in like the top 20 in that stat.
Yeah.
So Juwaan Taylor, better player on a similar contract. Maybe the Chiefs can get something for him in the trade. Maybe there'll be a team out there that says, you know what? We'd rather not bid against anybody else. We'd rather send a 5th-round pick the Chiefs' way. Although, if that were a possibility, I don't think the Chiefs would have announced publicly that they were going to cut Juwaan Taylor. I think it would be...
No, I think they exhausted that option where nobody was doing anything, and they're like, we got to do it. We've got less than a week.
It's what it seems like. Yeah, I mean, again, the difference, because, like, snap to snap, Taylor's probably a better player than Howard. How many penalties has Howard been called for? Is it more than one a game in the last 3 years? Because if it's not, it is for Juwaan Taylor. So maybe that's the difference there. Anyway, that's the first trade the Texans made. Second trade they made, they went and got David Montgomery from the Detroit Lions a day after Montgomery refuted rumors that he wanted to be traded. He's on the move. The Lions are sending offensive lineman Juice Scruggs a 4th-round draft pick this year and a 2027 7th-round draft pick to the Texans are sending them to the Lions in exchange for Montgomery, who rushed for 2,506 rushing yards and 33 TDs in the last 3 seasons with the Lions. Texans had Woody Marks and Nick Chubb at running back last year. Chubb is shot. The injuries have completely wrecked his legs. Woody Marks is just okay. He's probably a decent platoon back, but he's not a feature guy. Joe Mixon may never play again. Yeah, that's a really tenuous situation. And according to ESPN, league sources expect that Houston will probably release Mixon, who did not play in 2025. So David Montgomery on the move going to the Texans. I think that's a good addition for them. They needed a feature back And I think Montgomery still is that. The reason he wasn't that is because Jahmyr Gibbs is too good to take off the field.
Yeah.
For the Lions. So a couple of those moves made today in the NFL. You have any other NFL moves to tell us about, Spencer?
Yeah, the Commanders did something I've been waiting for them to do forever, and they didn't have to take a big cap hit to do it. They saved money, in fact. They released, or will release, cornerback Marshawn Lattimore and save $18.5 million against the cap because this guy is not who he once was. He once was a very good corner for the New Orleans Saints. And ever since they traded for him, he has not been because he can't stay on the field and he gets beat every single play. That's just one of a litany of moves the Commanders have made in the last couple days. They cut Tyler Biadasz, their center, who was well respected as one of the best centers in the NFC East until he got hurt last year. And he was Jaden's guy. They're in a commercial together, in fact. But that's because they're going to use former Chief Nick Allegretti to be their next center. It looks like they extended him an extra season after he had one more season left. They extended him through 2027. And last week they extended former Chief Andrew Wiley as well on their offensive line as they await an extension for Laramie Tunsil.
I do wonder what the market will look like for Lattimore. Somebody's going to take a flyer.
Yeah.
Again, it's just not a lot.
But also off the field lately, he got arrested. So he might be a camp ad.
Yeah, might have to wait a while until the first crop of cornerback free agents and safety free agents come off the market. One other NFL transaction I think worth noting, former Kansas State Wildcat Dalton Reisner re-signed with the Cincinnati Bengals today. 1-year deal worth up to $5 million. Played 14 games, started 9 at right guard for the Bengals last year and was one of their best offensive linemen, really dramatically improved their offensive line. It's kind of a weird career for Reisner since being a second-round pick of the Denver Broncos back in 2019. He had that spell last year where it seemed like nobody was going to sign him, and the Bengals did end up picking him up, taking a flyer, and the seventh-year guard has apparently found a home, at least for the next season, in Cincinnati. Let's get to the winner's circle before we wrap up our headlines. Wild stuff going on in the NASCAR Cup Series. There's only one driver allowed to win anymore. That's crazy. Tyler Reddick, 3 for 3 on the Cup Series to start the year. He wins the first road course race this season. That's how you know this is serious.
He beat out SVG.
He's even beaten SVG on the road courses.
I mean, I don't know if you watched it. I turned it on.
I did not.
He pulled away from SVG with like 2 laps to go.
So, Tyler Reddick, your winner at the Course of the Americas. 3 wins in 3 races. They've held 3 races, and Tyler Reddick has won every single one of them.
And he races for 2311, co-owned by Denny Hamlin, race car driver, and
Michael Jordan,
who knows
a little something about winning 3 in a row, right?
Yeah, and he's attended every single race.
Will
continue to.
I did see on social media that Reddick posed with the race trophy and held up 3 fingers, and then posted it next to a picture of Michael Jordan holding the championship trophy, the Larry O'Brien trophy, and holding up 3 fingers. I don't know if that was after his first 3-peat or his second. Yeah. Jordan did it twice, so we'll see if Reddick can go 4 for 4 this next week. But that's like,
this is the funny thing about it all, right? Is that whole lawsuit that happened, right?
Michael Jordan's team sued NASCAR and won
for being able to have teams in the Cup Series,
right?
Essentially,
sued NASCAR, won. And now all they're doing is winning the race.
And he made a pseudo comment. They interviewed him again. They've had him on 3 straight broadcasts, which I think is more than he's been on NBA and NBC for those counting.
Probably.
And he said something like, things are changing here at NASCAR, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Reddick's been a good driver in his career. He's got 11 career wins over the last 7 years. He's been solid, but this is quite a start for the 30-year-old out of California.
The best part, you didn't see it, so
I did not. Go ahead. Fill us in. NASCAR insider Spencer Dupuis.
Well,
give it to
you
him.
As a newish dad would like this. So his son has been everywhere with this team since you've seen his son. One of the crew guys put his son on top of the car as he was getting out, and they embraced it. He said, 3. You can see
Oh,
it.
that's great.
Like, it was just great stuff.
All
man.
right. Yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in now on Tyler Reddick. Going for 4 next week. Honestly, that is the kind of thing that is buzzy enough that, like, that gets people's attention. You tell me, hey, there's a NASCAR driver winning all the races. Maybe he can win 4 in a row. Like, I'm in. I'm invested. I
no
want to
one's
see if he
ever
can do
won
it.
3 straight races to start a season.
Yes, this is unprecedented, uncharted territory that Tyler Reddick is in. 3 for 3 to start the NASCAR Cup Series season. On the PGA Tour, Shane Lowry had a 3-shot lead with 3 holes to go at the Cognizant Classic, but they don't call those last 3 holes the Bear Trap for nothing. It's a Jack Nicklaus course. So it's the Bear Trap because he's the Golden Bear. Tee shot on 16 into the water, double bogey. Tee shot on 17 into the water, double bogey. Shane Lowry does not win the Cognizant Classic. Instead, it's Nico Echeverria who benefits from the late collapse of the jovial Irishman to win the Cognizant Classic. Not a great field in the event. I turned on some of the golf, and I'm looking at the leaderboard like, I mean, I kind of know some of these names, but I couldn't tell you what they look like. This is not like this is not a star-studded field. Our guy, Gary Woodland, the professional franchise of Topeka, Kansas, he did not make the weekend. He was 1 over both days and missed the cut by 2 shots. So it's not the most star-studded field, but Shane Lowry certainly, that's a major champion. That's a name you know. 3-shot lead, 3 to go. He's not going to blow this. Oh, my God, he hit it into the water. Oh, my God, he did it again. The pros are just like us. Nico Echeverria wins the Cognizant Classic. That'll do it for your 580 Sports Talk headlines. When we come back, we got postseason high school basketball this week. We'll tell you all about who's playing where, when, and when you can hear high school hoops on 580 WIBW. Coming up next on 580 Sports Talk. .535 on 580 Sports Talk. These next 2 weeks are busy ones for us here on the Sports Voice of Kansas because postseason basketball is here. Another year of wall-to-wall state tournament coverage begins, we hope, on Tuesday night I should say we hope. We tentatively plan for a Tuesday night open for our state championship coverage. The format is different this year. For those of you who may not have paid attention, that the number of state tournament sites has been cut from 7 down to 4. So Coke Arena in Wichita will host 5A and 6A. Hutchinson Sports Arena will host 4A and 3A. White Auditorium in Emporia will host 2A and 1A2. And United Wireless Arena in Dodge City will host 1A Division 1. Now, because the same venue is hosting multiple classes, that means that on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, it will just be the state semifinals in those classes. And then Friday and Saturday, you'll get some third-place games as well. And then all of the championship games will be on Saturday. All 14, 2 per 7 classes, will be on Saturday. But to get down to 4 to send to Wichita, Hutchinson, Emporia, and Dodge City, the state quarterfinals will be played at neutral sites on Tuesday and Wednesday. We hope to bring you coverage on Tuesday. It will depend on when Kansas State's men play in the Big 12 tournament. And then, of course, any of our other coverage will also be dictated by our contractual obligation to the K-State men, though I think we can be honest with each other in this editorial program and say we do not expect their journey through the Big 12 tournament to be a particularly lengthy one. So the idea is that we will be able to bring you, again, the same wall-to-wall state tournament coverage we can be bringing you for nearly 60 years here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, with games Tuesday through Saturday. But to get there, there is Sub-State Week first. We will have Sub-State coverage for you on Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday here on 580 WIBW. We'll have a single game Wednesday. We will have a single game Friday. We will have a doubleheader for you on Saturday. So who's still left? Well, there's a game tonight, 1A Division 1. The 1A divisions have figured out half of their sub-state championship games. 1A1 girls and 1A2 boys are playing tonight to determine who will play for sub-state championships. That includes Wabunsee girls, who are the number 1 seed in the Clifton Clyde Sub-State 1. They will play Rural Vista tonight. That game will be at Wabunsee in 1A1 girls. Then tomorrow, we are unable to bring you high school basketball tomorrow. We got obligation to the K-State Sports Network. Kansas State plays West Virginia tomorrow night. We'll have that game for you here on 580 WIBW. But tomorrow night, all of these games set for 6 o'clock tips. In Class 6A, both Topeka High and Washburn Rural girls are at home. Topeka High is the number 6 seed, so they're in sub-state number 3. They play Mays. Washburn Rural girls are at home. They're the 7 seed in sub-state 2. They will play Wichita South. 5A boys, we have 3 teams playing at home tomorrow night. In the West sub-states, Topeka West is in the number 2 sub-state. They're the number 2 overall seed. They play Hutchinson. Seaman is the number 4 overall seed. They're in sub-state number 4. They play Valley Center. Over in the East, Shawnee Heights is the number 4 overall seed. So they're in sub-state number 4 in the East. They will play DeSoto, a United Kansas Conference rival. Highland Park's the number 14 seed. They go on the road to face a Meadowlark Conference rival. They will take on Kansas City, Washington. 4A girls, all of our area teams of concern are in the East sub-state. Rock Creek's number 1 overall seed. They play Parsons. Wamego is the number 2 seed. They play Labette County. Hayden is the number 5 seed. They're at home. They've got Atchison tomorrow night. And Santa Fe Trail, number 7 seed in 4A. They will play Bishop Miege. They drew that particular short straw in 4A girls basketball. 3A boys in the West Franklin sub-state. Number 1 overall seed is Burlington. They'll play the number 8 seed Osage City. As those sub-states in 3A have already played first-round games, they're already down to the final 4s in their respective sub-states. Sabetha sub-state action. Number 8 seed Oskaloosa plays number 1 seed Hiawatha at Hiawatha. And then in the other half of that sub-state, number 2 seed Silver Lake is at home to Sabetha. Number 3 seed Perry Lecompton on the other half of that bracket plays the 6 seed Jeff West. And in 2A girls at the Mission Valley sub-state, the number 9 seed is Rossville. They play at Kansas City Christian tomorrow night. The number 2 seed is Linden. In the other sub-state, they host 7 seed Jefferson County North. Wednesday, the game we will have for you right here on 580 WIBW will be in the 6A West Boys Substate. It'll be round 3 between Topeka High and Washburn Rural. Topeka High beat Rural by 1 at the Dungeon, beat them by 1 Tuesday night at Washburn Rural. So not much between these two teams. They'll play for a third time this season to Wednesday night. We'll have that game for you. 6 o'clock tip, 5:45 pregame right here on 580 WIBW. 5A girls, Shawnee Heights, the only team playing at home. They're the number 2 overall seed in the East. They host Sumner Academy. Highland Park's the 13 seed. They're on the road at Baser Linwood. In the West, Seaman is the number 11 seed. They're at Eisenhower and Goddard. And Topeka West, the 15 seed, plays at number 2 seed Hayes. 4A boys, Rock Creek's number 1 overall seed in the East, just like their girls. They play Lewisburg at home on Wednesday night. Hayden is the 10 seed. They go out to Independence. They're in the same substate as Wamego, the 15 seed. They play at number 2 Atchison. Both Rock Creek and Atchison undefeated. Santa Fe Trail has the number 4 seed, so they'll be at home through their substate. They play Eudora. 3A girls on Wednesday night. Number 2 seed Osage City at home in the West Franklin substate against Frontenac. Other half of that bracket. Number 3 seed Burlington at home against Cherryvale. The Sabetha substate loaded with Big East teams. Number 1 Silver Lake against number 8 Nemaha Central. Number 4 Riley County versus number 5 Jeff West, with the winners of those games Wednesday night playing each other for a trip to state. 2A boys, lots of local presence in the Mission Valley sub-state. Number 1 overall seed is Care Paravel, looking for their first ever trip to Acacia State Tournament in boys basketball. They play Doniphan West on Wednesday night at home. St. Mary's on the other side of that bracket is the 4 seed. They play 5 seed Valley Falls, who went to state last year. Then in the other Mission Valley sub-state, the number 2 seed Jefferson County North at home against Kansas City Christian. Number 3 seed Rossville at home against Mauer Hill Mount Academy. We will have coverage from those championship games on Saturday night. Our Trenton Craxner will be there in Eskridge. We'll have a championship game from a city school, at least tentatively, at 5 o'clock on Saturday. And then once that game is done, we're going to throw it out to Trenton in Eskridge. He'll have whatever's left of the first championship game that day, and then the second championship game in its entirety to round out a doubleheader. That's coming up on Saturday night. And one local team already set for a sub-state championship game in 1A Division I boys. Burlingame, the number 10 seed, making a bit of a Cinderella run. They play the 3rd seed Canton Galva in one of the Clifton Clyde sub-state championship games. Again, our state tournament coverage will begin Tuesday of next week. Still figuring out who's going to be where. We know Trenton Craxner will be in Emporia for 2A and 1A2 coverage. Myself and Fulton Castor, our old pal Fulton, will round out the play-by-play coverage. One of us in Wichita, one of us in Hutchinson. That's to be determined based upon sub-state results. Brendan Dworzinski will be on the desk Thursday and Friday. Spencer Dupuis will be our Greg Gumbel on the desk on Championship Saturday.
I'm ready, man.
Isn't it the best time of year?
Look, I have had the chance, the ability to go to Hutch the last 2 seasons, see some great basketball.
Absolutely.
But now I'm looking forward to like being at Command Central, getting to hear everything, because when we were doing round robin, I couldn't always hear everything.
Sure. Now you'll get
because of the way that things patched and everything.
Right.
So sometimes I was just silent. Watching my game that didn't involve any team that we covered.
Yeah.
Now I can hear them all.
Yep, you'll get to hear them all. That's the beauty of the new format, is that Thursday through Saturday, it's back to what it used to be, back when you used to have 6 broadcasters and 6 people at 6 different sites, and that was like running Grand Central Station. 3 broadcasters at 3 sites is going to be a little bit easier, I think, for everybody to follow.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a great time bringing you all the state tournament coverage next week here on WIBW. We'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, Travis Kelce playing next year or what? I think we're going to find out this week. We'll talk about it next on the program. 547 on 580 Sports Talk. While we were at break, the Kansas City Royals have made the Starling Marte signing official. It's a one-year major league contract, so he goes right to the 40-man roster. Haven't seen terms of the deal yet, but it is a one-year major league deal. To make space on the 40-man roster, Darryn Blanco has been designated for assignment. We'll see if he passes through waivers, remains with the organization, or if somebody else claims him and adds them to their 40-man mix. And if he does land somewhere else, we'll always have pencil bat Darryn Blanco to remember. The day he went legend in Cincinnati and hit 2 massive home runs, swinging the pencil bat on Players Weekend. That will be my enduring memory of Darryn Blanco as a Royal, if indeed his time is up. He has, again, been designated for assignment, so the Royals can make room on the 40-man roster for the Marte Parte, Starling Marte. Real quick Chiefs note to wrap up the show. The league year begins next Wednesday. March 11th is the start of the new league year. You have the legal tampering period, but you get the start of the new league year, and that is the point at which you have to be salary cap compliant. That's why you're seeing all these moves start to be made and teams talking about releasing players. And the Chiefs said, we're going to release Juwaan Taylor before the start of the new league year because you have to be salary cap compliant when the new league year begins. The release of Juwaan Taylor will make the Chiefs salary cap compliant. Again, isn't it so funny, Spencer? We know exactly how much money the Chiefs are saving, but we do not know how much they are under the salary cap. And we no idea. I saw estimates anywhere between 10 to 14 million under the cap for the Chiefs. The best guess I saw was it's 10.6.
I don't understand.
But hey, under the cap, even if you're under by a cent, you're compliant.
I was doing one of those, I think is on Spotrac or Over the Cap or something, predicting what the Chiefs would do last week while I was bored. And I had some time to kill, not bored. And I had them extending McDuffie. And it saved like whatever Spotrac or
whatever,
that
would save money. Yeah, you would.
It saved a bunch of money. I didn't realize how much it would save.
Yeah, you
from
could,
whatever they predict.
Yeah, you could
the salary.
They'll probably end up saving the projections I've heard there is his cap is in the 13, 14 million range, and you probably save about half that.
Yeah,
if not a little bit more if you extend McDuffie, which again is why there might be some urgency on the Chiefs' part to do something like that. But the other thing the Chiefs have to figure out as they approach their salary cap situation for 2026 is Travis Kelce going to play or what? Because Travis Kelce's not going to play for the vet min. We know that.
Yeah,
he's not playing for the veteran minimum. He's going to command a salary that will be maybe not top of the charts for tight ends, but commensurate with.
I would say probably right around or slightly below what he got on his last extension.
Commensurate with his current value. Spotrac has their, projected value.
Yeah.
They project Travis Kelce to make about $10 to $11 million next year. He just made $17 million a year over the last 2. So maybe something in that range, maybe something like 11, 12 million, but the Chiefs are going to have to figure that out, which is why the presumption has long been that this was going to be the week that Kelce was going to tell the Chiefs, yeah, I'm playing, or no, I'm not, because he's not playing anywhere else. Like, just to be real frank about that, there is no concern about Travis Kelce wearing somebody else's uniform. He is either going to play as a Chief or he is not going to play at all. So it's about time to make that decision. They're still doing the weekly podcast, right? That's still coming out every week?
Yeah, I just watched it last week. They had Chris Stapleton on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He got a song. He had a song on an MLB The Show soundtrack about 3-4 years ago. Midnight Train to Memphis. Really
great song.
Did a good cover of Should Have Known It by Tom Petty. I like Chris Stapleton. I will go on record. I like him. I like his music. He was good on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I'm a fan of his. I'll have to check that out. Anyway, so they're doing the weekly podcast. That would seem to be like the time if you were going to make an announcement.
The funniest thing they could do is they could literally wait till next week. Even if they've told the Chiefs, right? Like he tells Veach, he tells everybody, hey, look, I'm doing this, but can I please announce it on my podcast? And that'll be it.
And that could be how it goes down. Could wait another week, but I think it's going to be this week. I think the Chiefs have to know, because then that impacts maybe.
Well, I mean, he could tell them. I'm saying he could tell them. But
You
they
just
don't
keep it.
we
I just
will
think it would leak.
We'll discuss a contract.
I just think it would leak. Somebody would get that information.
I guess.
Somebody would know. He's too famous.
Yeah.
He's too famous.
He's not my guy, Nazi Johnson.
So we asked the listeners, is he coming back or not? Mark H says he thinks Kelsey's coming back in the live chat on YouTube. Text from the 913 says, yeah, he can't go out like that. I think he's coming back. Dan says he thinks he's coming back. Let's go on record. Let's put our names on it, Spencer.
I said back on our January 5th show, I went back and looked at the date. It is January 5th. That he is coming back, so I still think he is coming back.
I have leaned more and more in that direction probably since the start of January. I do. I will say I think he comes back. I think he comes back. I think he plays on a 1 year. I think he makes it clear that this is it.
And we get the tour. We get the retirement tour.
See, I don't know that he's going to get the pregame rocking chair gifts from other teams, but no, I think he makes it clear that this is it, that he's going to come back for one final ride. I do. I think he plays one more year. I think he plays something like 10, 11, maybe $12 million salary, something that's amenable. I think that will lead the Chiefs to release Noah Gray. I do. I think they'll move on. Didn't give him anything last year. So I think they can move on from that $4 million, maybe draft a tight end. There should be some good ones available. Early second, early third, maybe even at number 9 if they fall in love with Kenyon Sadiq. Maybe he's an option. But I do. I think Travis Kelce will be back. I do. I will put my name on it today, March 2nd. I think he announces it this week that he's coming back for one more season. We'll take a break. We'll come back with the final word to put a wrap on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Time for the final word on this Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis, what you got?
Yeah, it was a tough loss for KU over the weekend. They showed a little bit of resilience making that comeback, but then their comeback, they couldn't, man. You can't come back twice like that against a team like Arizona on the road, even if you're KU. But glad it didn't do anything to their AP ranking, because I don't think they should have deserved a false spot for losing against the number 2 team in the nation. And looking forward to being back on the show this week.
Final word for me today. You could not preach turning over a new leaf, accountability, less sloppiness, all of these things the Kansas City Chiefs are going to aspire to be after their disappointing 2025 season moving forward, and also keep Juwaan Taylor as your right tackle. For Juwaan Taylor's gifts as a player, he is 100% a starting caliber right tackle in the league, and there aren't always 32 starting caliber tackles or 64 starting caliber tackles to go around. The Chiefs couldn't abide by the penalties anymore. 49 of them, 41 accepted in 45 games as a Chief. A penalty per game. And penalties for stuff like not being able to get lined up right, just not paying attention to detail. That kind of stuff there needed to be some accountability for. And accountability today for the Chiefs looked like cutting Juwaan Taylor, which we all knew was coming. Jeff Mittie Show is next. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 6. For Spencer, I'm Dan. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.